Hi, everyone. This is Sherry Prindle, and I would like to remind you of the distinction between controllable time and uncontrollable time. I don't really mean that you can't control or can control, because I think there's a combination of that in either types of time, but there are certain things that you could just put on a to-do list and reasonably expect to get done, and certain things that are just going to come up that are expected. So remember, you've got a certain percentage of your day that goes into handling interruptions and crises and routines, things that you couldn't really put on a to-do list, but that you're still expected to do. And you have other things that you really could schedule and plan. It may be a meeting or an appointment, but it may just be a job that needs to get done that has specific action steps. One of the most important things, remember, was to take the most important of those schedulable things and pencil them in first. In fact, my recommendation is to open up your calendar and very first thing, pencil in the primary responsibilities of your job, the things that you are hired to do, the things that you're evaluated based on. Block those in first. Then take any larger projects, again, things that will make or break you, your career, your stress level, etc. After those things are scheduled, actually in the calendar, not just as to-do lists, then you still have your to-do list on the side for all those other things, and you still have plenty of time to handle the requests that come in from others. But remember, this only works when you put the rocks in first, the ice in first, as was demonstrated in our session. I hope you enjoy the actual video of putting the ice in first and share it with others.
I'm Sherry Prindle, and we all have so many jobs and tasks and priorities to do, and most of us use a very simple tool to keep track of them, a to-do list. And the way the to-do list primarily works is that we gather up everything we need to get done on the list. This picture represents the to-do list. And once we've gathered them all up, since there are so many, we should prioritize them, which I've done with the picture because the ice in the top is the top priority. It's floating on top. The dregs in the bottom are a low priority. The ice water in the middle is moderate. And this is my week. So this is all the stuff I need to get done this week, and this is my week. Are you here? And you know, it would be easy to demonize the fact that we have so much in the picture and that it's physically impossible to fit this volume into here. But there's evidence to suggest that it's motivating to have more to do than you could possibly get done. And I know for a fact that a lot of what's in there, I put in there. So the problem is not so much that we have more to do than we could get done. It's our belief that we have to get it done and our lack of really paying attention to how much time we actually have. So here's what we do. All right, I need to get all this stuff done. Let's get going. And then what's going to happen? No, it can't overflow. I mean, I need to get this stuff done. This is my job. What are you talking about? Oh, that. Well, anyway, don't you find that really interesting that people talk about prioritizing as if somehow I could tell my boss, sorry, this is not a priority. I'm not getting it done. I mean, this is crazy. This is my job. I have to get this stuff done. I can't not get this stuff done. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll put it back on my to-do list and get it done later. The fact is, I just need to get this done. I mean, this is my job. This is my work. Wow. Not only is this a mess, not a hot mess, but a cold mess, but it's also insanity. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. How many days, weeks, months, years have we been doing that? Gathering up all the things that need to get done, swearing we have to get it done, acting surprised when it doesn't get done, and then saying I'll do it next week, as if there's not going to be a whole new picture next week. One of the issues is really not knowing the size of our glass. You know, it's not as simple as just saying, I work 40 hours, therefore I've got a 40-hour glass, because just like my phone has 64 megs in it, but I don't get 64 megs of music and pictures on that thing because the operating system has to take up a certain amount of space. Isn't it true that there's a certain cost of doing business, a certain percentage of your time that no matter what just gets taken up with things like routines and emergencies and interruptions? The question I have for you is, what percent of your time does that constitute? If you're a receptionist, it might be 90% of your time. If it's a rock, my question for you is, what percent of your time is that? If you're a receptionist, it might be 90% of your time, but if you're a rocket scientist, it should be 15% or less. On average, when they ask lots of different people in lots of professions, what percent of your time gets taken up in things that you would never actually put on a to-do list, but that nevertheless you need to do. The average came out to be 40%. So let's do the math. If I work 40 hours and 40% of my time gets taken up with this routine non-to-do list stuff, that's 4 times 4, or 16 hours. And then I would subtract that 16 hours from the 40 hours I work, and I'm left with 24 hours. That's the total number of hours worth of work that I could put on a to-do list and reasonably expect to get done. So now that I know the size of my glass, I will be very careful and only fit into my glass what can fit. So has it been a good week? I don't think so. I think it's actually been a horrible week. Why? Not because there's lots of stuff left. There's always lots of stuff left, but because it's the ice that's left. So I beg you not to make your goal be to get everything done. That's impossible. But I also beg you not to make your goal be to just do what you can. That's what mediocre people do. My goal is to get as much ice as I possibly can into my glass. Now, I'm a big believer in using tools. And I really need a scraper or a scoop for this because my hands are getting really cold. And as I do this, I cannot help but notice that the ice is cubed. And I could sure fit a lot more ice in here if it was crushed. Because really, who has big, look at this one, 4-hour chunks of time in your day? But, oh, look at that, look at that, look at this. I want you to see this. Look, look, look. It's a little 15-minute chunk of time. So if I broke the big things down into smaller pieces using things like mind maps, I could actually fit more of the important stuff into my day. As it is, I fit as much of the important stuff as I possibly can. Always still room for water. And in the end, when I ask the question one last time, has it been a good week? I'm going to say yes. As long as I notice that what I have accomplished is more important than what I haven't accomplished. As long as I prioritize not just my to-do list, but prioritize on my feet when someone says, drop everything and come see me now, by asking, what if I do it? What if I don't? What's the best use of my time now? Then that is the best that I can do. And part of it then becomes communicating your situation to others. Whoosh.